What's going on, Canfield Nation? Richie Juliano back with you here at Cocca's Pizza. We are joined by Coach Pav once again. Week number 5 coming up here against Marion Pleasant. As we were talking off air a little bit, this could be a dangerous team this week. They don't have the best record coming in, but they run that wing T offense, which is very hard to control.
Absolutely, Richie. Proud program, tradition rich, and you only have 1 week to prepare. Really, it's like 3 days to prepare for a wing T team. It could get really dicey for you. But, our kids, I think, are very aware of Marion Pleasant's history. They've won 4 state titles. Ohio has had the football playoffs for 49 years. They've qualified 30 out of the 49 times. Yeah. And this year, their only win is against a very good Division II Marion Harding team that they were losing 24-7 in the third quarter, came back and won the game 27-24. So it's certainly a dangerous team. We've got to be on our toes, ready to go.
Now, we had Drew Carosi on earlier for our player profile brought to you by Cocca's Pizza, and he talked about how this prepares you guys for the future. If you were to play Chardon again, which you got to go through Chardon to win that region, how does this prepare you now that you get to see the wing T in regular season?
Well, I think it certainly doesn't hurt you. But if we're thinking about Chardon right now, we're going to be in the world of trouble Friday night against Marion Pleasant. If we happen to get to Chardon again, we will certainly bring out the Marion Pleasant tape and find out what went well and what didn't work so well and try and improve.
Now let's talk about last week, a big win over Chaney. Man, did you guys bring a punch right off the rip. You get the football to start. You go right down the field in a well-orchestrated drive. You cap it off with a touchdown to Hunter Knotts, and then first play from scrimmage, a young quarterback, a freshman on the road. He throws a pick. That really set the tone for the ball game, I thought.
Yeah, no doubt. I was really pleased with the way the kids came out of the locker room ready to go at 7 o'clock. And, again, tremendous first drive, mixing the run and the pass. And Brock Lowry hit the tip pass on the first play on defense, and Oliver picked it off. And that set up number 2. Then we forced a punt and took that down. And, before you knew it was 21-0. And, against anybody, if you're down 21-0, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, let's talk about your running game a little bit. Your passing game was there last week, and, off air we were talking, still a little bit upset not getting over 4 yards a carry. What does this offensive line and running back crew have to do to improve from week to week so that you're averaging 5 yards a carry?
Well, I think what they've got to do is get more reps. That's all. People don't understand. We're just still very, very young up front with only one starter back in Nick Bowen, and, we're getting better. It's just a matter of we've got to take another step. It doesn't matter how many times you run the ball or how many yards you run the ball. You better average 4 yards a carry to keep the defense kind of off the line of scrimmage and allow us to develop a passing game too. Yeah. And, we're still looking for that goal of 4 yards consistency across the board. And I think it's just still being a byproduct of being a young football team. But that excuse is going to get old here real quick.
Yeah.
We've got to take the next step this week.
Now you have a young defensive line, but this linebacker crew and your cornerback crew as well as your safeties very experienced. How much do you think they propelled this defense knowing that you've only given up 6 points in the last 2 games?
Yeah, no doubt. I think defensive guys have done a great job of, doing their assignments, doing their job, and everybody getting to the football. And yes, we're young up front, those first 4 defensive linemen, but you get behind them and the linebackers with Toby Smith and Michael Crawford, and you're looking at the secondary with Carosi and Lowry and Kovas that all started for us, and Powell played a lot last year for us. Those guys are able to take away the other team's pass game. And that's always the number one goal, shut the run game down and force people to pass on you. And because of our experience in the back end, that hasn't happened so far.
Now, we talked about Carosi earlier. We talked to him for our player profile this week. He's done it on both sides of the football this year. Big 3-year letter winner and a senior key returner for you. It seems like every third down and long, he's the guy that gets the call. Just touch on him and what he's brought to this team this year.
Yeah, I'm not too sure we're targeting him on third and long. I think the coverage takes us to him. Brock does a great job of reading coverages, and it takes us to him. And, our pass game, we're blessed with smart young men in Canfield. And Drew's certainly one of those guys that, we just don't call a pass play and say, hey, run this route. There's options on every route, or most every route that we run. And, Drew has a great knack of finding that open spot in a secondary coverage, and Brock is doing a great job finding them.
As much as we've talked about the defense, I think offensively you've done a lot of great things in the last couple of weeks. what have you seen the most improvement from week number 1 now coming up to week number 6?
Again, we certainly become a more consistent football team. We're still not at the level we need to be if we want to be heard about in Region 9. But I really like our pass protection.
Okay.
I like our wideouts and them reading coverages and getting to the open spots. Obviously, Brock's back there, and he's pretty special himself, and he can read coverage and put the ball on the money. We've got to be able to run the football as the weather turns here. And, because it's going to get more difficult to throw the ball in wet weather and colder weather. And if we're able to establish a run game, we're going to be well on our way to having a pretty good year.
And we talked about field position last week and that big win a week ago. I mean, it seemed like it was the same problem for the other sideline. You guys had the football inside their 50 to start the majority of the drives. I mean, that's just been the key for this offense.
That starts with our kicking game. Zach Ahmed, our kickoff guy, he's putting about 75% of the kickoffs into the end zone. And now they got to start on a 20. Obviously, our defense is playing very well. A lot of 3-and-outs, and now you're getting a ball on your side of the 50. And then when we've been able to punt the ball, when we've had to punt the football, our Ryan Schneider and our punt coverage team is doing a great job flipping field position for us. So it's just this one side of the ball. It's all three phases working together.
Now you mentioned Zach Ahmed, the new kicker for the Canfield Cardinals. Every time he gets to kick it off, I mean, just put it at the 20-yard line. It's pretty much a guarantee there. How did you convince him to kick off for you guys this year? I know he's a soccer player as well. I mean, what was that conversation like with Ahmed?
That started with our athletic director, Mike Cocca.
Okay.
Mike was doing a speed training session in June with the soccer players before the football team came out. And at the end of the soccer speed training session, the soccer guys were out there kicking soccer balls into the nets. And, Zach hit one. He was a goalie last year. And he hit one from the 20 and ended up in the other end zone. And Coach Cocca said, listen, how about tomorrow we start kicking some footballs? Let's see what we can do. And,
yeah.
Mike came and told me about it. And the next day he showed up. And sure enough, through the summertime of Zach, spending some time together, Jeff Wilkins coming out and helping him out, he's developed into a really good kicker for us.
Now that we're praising some of the kickers, Ben Pugh as well. I mean, he's been huge. He hasn't missed a single kick so far this season.
Ben's a great success story for us. He came out as a sophomore and had never kicked before. And,
really?
He's done a great job of working for 3 years, biding his time, kicked JVs as a sophomore, kicked JVs as a junior. And, this year, it's his year. And he put a lot of time in the wintertime, comes out before practice during the summertime and does a lot of kicking, a lot of drills. And, just really excited for him and happy for him that his hard work is paying off.
One more question before we let you go. We talked about Marion Pleasant, how they could be a little bit of a trap game if your team isn't focused. What are your keys to victory this week?
Focus on the moment. If we're not focused on the moment Friday night, we're going to be a disappointed football team about 10 o'clock. And focus on the moment is it's homecoming week. That's a problem, okay?
Yeah.
Especially if you're thinking about it during the week and Friday nights taking away from your focus. Focusing on the games coming up, the last 4 games coming up. If you're focusing on those 4 and not Friday night, we're going to be in a world of hurt on Friday night. So the key to the game is focusing on the moment.
Coach, we appreciate you coming out once again. Another Coach's Profile brought to you by Cocca's Pizza here in Canfield. You could watch the Canfield football game against Marion Pleasant at 7 o'clock on Friday night here on OISNlive.com.